Welcome to another episode of the PoE Report, a podcast about all things Path of Exile 1 and 2 from myself, Dreamcore, and my co-host, Palstron. Pal, dude, how's your day going?
Pretty good, man. We're approaching week 3 or week 4. I don't even know anymore. I'm so in the midst of things right now, just farming up, making new character. Today we got our last podcast episode for this season, as far as I'm aware. And we got with us fellow content creator Prada, who's been popping up recently. How you going, man?
Yo, good, man. I'm the finale, last one.
Exactly.
Oh, the final boss.
Yep. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Prada. So, I wanted to do a bit of discussion right at the beginning of this podcast, because you're playing a really interesting build this patch. You're playing an off-meta build on a very meta skill. So you're playing Twister on an Abyssal Lich, which I think is really, really cool. I kind of want to do a bit of discussion on your whole kind of thought process of how you even got to that build in the first place, and why you chose that one.
Okay. Do you want to know why I picked it originally, or
why not? Why not?
All right. So first plan was just run Ember Fusillade, Ruse Skill Effector, and then the Spirit Walker reveal came out, and I was like, oh, well, this is an archetype I'm pretty familiar with because I played a lot of Twister. I started it in 0.2. It was my second character in 0.3, and I played it towards the end of 0.4. And I was like, all right, well, this is just right up my alley. And I saw a bunch of issues with Spirit Walker just in the reveal, like bugs and whatnot. And I was like, dude, people are going to get tired of rolling eventually. And if I just make a character that's better than the average Spirit Walker, maybe we can get some attention for that. But the original approach was I'm familiar with the skill. Maybe I can provide something that newer Twister players can't, or whatever. So that was the original point. But the original quest line was super bugged. So I guess for context, anybody that's not familiar with Abyssal Lich, it's like a secret Lich Ascendancy, and you only unlock it from killing Kulamok, which is, I guess, considered a pinnacle. It's like the end of the Abyss quest line. And before it was you just fight Kulamok and you have infinite respawns, so you can't lose. So the second you get your hands on a Kulamok invitation, you just guarantee your Ascendancy. But this league, because of the quest line, they changed it, so you only get 6 portals. So you actually had to have kind of a decent character to fight him. And we got time rugged super hard at the beginning of League. But Twister in general, the only limiting factor is just how often can you get your barrage up to cover your screen and, vomit, and then everything is dead. And this character just has super crazy projectile speed stacking. And that was the purpose behind the character selection. And I think it's aged kind of well, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I know the feeling of you have an archetype that you already played and you're kind of familiar with it, and then all of a sudden it becomes meta for whatever reason.
Yep.
And now you're already familiar with it and everybody's just jumping in. And the worst feeling for me is when people overhype the archetype and now I get the pressure on, right? It's well, no, guys, there's still clunk here, right? You still have to figure out stuff. It's people throwing out totem builds with no totem placement speed, and you're guys, let's calm down for a second.
My character's name is Clunkiest. It's literally Clunkiest.
Yep.
But dude, for multiple leagues, I'm screaming from the rooftops Twister is an S tier skill. Nobody likes it because at 0.2, it's competing with Lightning Spear, which is just thematically a fan favorite skill. In every game there's ever been a Lightning Spear, people have loved it, right? And it's when that drops, it's pretty hard to get attention on the little spinny tornadoes. And but dude, Abyssal Lich is I don't know, it's in my top 3 Ascendancies in the whole game. If you just play anything with projectile tag, it's legit so broken OP. And it's all crutching a singular support gem, which is very funny, but I can explain how
in 0.2 actually. I played it on a tactician, which has no damage at all. I just played it purely for the defensive pin setup. And
pin is
even then,
broken.
It was just extremely good, right? The skill itself is just very, very strong.
Yeah,
I think it's just really... It's a perfect example of a skill that's extremely powerful, but some people are just not going to like the playstyle, right? It's and you have to figure that out beforehand. Because, for example, I'm not the target audience. If I I'm weird. So for example, I don't like skills where you just throw out one projectile and you have to connect with something and then the screen explodes. Because the feeling of not connecting in the first place, I fucking hate. I'm like AoE or Nova projectiles or whatever the hell, that's my thing, right? And with Tornado, I had the similar feeling with Salvo, where it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you click it and it's like, no, I want them to go here though. It's like,
and they're whiffing. Yeah.
And they're whiffing. And sure, if you have the perfect arena, it's like fine, but you don't always, right? So that feeling I really hated, like that feeling of inconsistency. But if you're fine with that, you're rewarded with an extremely powerful build, right?
Or this league, now there's the new quirk where they can just get enough spirits on them that they've got so much evasion that you're right next to the monster and you're missing. It's like, oh, that's really cool. Because we don't even use Salvo anymore. Olroth's Conviction lets you repeat your barrage and it snapshots your frenzy charges that you had. And it just doesn't synergize well with Salvo because Salvo has like that timer that you have to wait for. And it's like, well, now that you can spam the skill 3 times in a row, you don't want to wait for the Salvo stacks to get you additional projectiles. And you'll have a monster right in front of you with like 9 wisps on it, and you legit can't hit it. And you're like, oh, okay, well, this guy needs to like get hit or something like immediately, or we're gonna have to do some running away. But the Ascendancy in general is legit so overpowered, and it's not just for projectiles, but projectile acceleration 3 like takes all of your increased projectile speed, and it just becomes increased projectile damage as well, and you don't lose anything for it, and it multiplies it. So I think we're sitting at like 481 increased barrage speed right now. And it's like, then you just make sure all of your other increased damage sources are not projectile damage, and you just have like insane tooltip just from your Ascendancy. And it's like your gear can be like actual garbage.
I wonder whether people are just like a bit afraid of just generally the placement on the tree. Because I feel like that's a little bit more of a thing in PoE 2 than it is in PoE 1. And it might be how they've kind of done the marketing for the game, right? Where it's like, you know, here's a warrior, he uses a mace, you know, where it's like, coming from PoE 1, we know that, like, the class doesn't really matter. You can play anything anywhere, right?
Yep.
So I wonder whether there's a bit of that going on where people, they might look at the skill and they know that it's strong, but they don't really even consider Abyssal Lich, or maybe even any of those Ascendancies on the other side of the tree, because they're like, well, like, that's just not, they'll automatically just throw it away, right? Because they just don't think it's going to work.
Right. Especially as a league starter, right? Because a major selling point of your build is like, how quickly can you actually get to maps with this? And it struggles terribly in the campaign. Like, the skill obviously is broken, overpowered. Everybody knows Twister's good now, right? It's been this good and it hasn't gotten nerfed. So it's just like, it's not like a curious case of power creep or anything, but it's like, you get a Wake of Destruction early and your character is good. I think I had like a 6-hour 30 campaign, and I'm like by no means a good campaign player. But like on a character that doesn't get any increased damage for like, I think it was like legit 18 points or something, where you're legit just taking dex over and over and over. Yeah, it's really hard to like convince people like, hey dude, you come online at level 35, but you know, you'll do enough damage in the meantime if you can just suffer for a second. And it's also got the weird, I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask, but the attack speed movement stuff, which people also are just not familiar with. And I think weapon swap points also can be a bit confusing to people that have just never interacted with it. Like, and this character is like solely crutching that for all of the movement speed. Because not only do you get the skeletal snipers, which give you projectile speed, on your weapon set 1, where you're getting all of your attack speed from, which is your movement with Rolling Slash, you take Reavers, and those give you skill speed. And then you just stack all your skill speed, and then Dance with Death is a keystone that just multiplies it all. And you go from like sprinting in the campaign to, yeah, dude, when you go to level 80, you put on these Reavers and you start holding right click until the end of time. And anybody that was like trying to use WASD, like, you're on click to move now, bro. Sorry about that.
How's the movement like around corners and stuff? Because I know they changed that last patch. How would you say the feeling changed? Because I remember trying it in 0.2 and it was a little bit awkward, I guess.
I'm at the stage now where I have so many hours just moving. Like, I've only used attack speed movement on every character since like 1.0. I used temp, and then from that point forward, it's just been like bone shatter or whirling on a Twister character. So I'm gonna be real, I don't even notice a difference. I'm already past the stage where I'm ever gonna get caught on anything. So I'm like super removed from I didn't even know that was a change. That's how like removed I am from that, just because I've got so much time played on that. But when I do get in areas where it's like I'm on a mire or something, I just let go of it for a second, and I'll use this hallway as my opportunity to use my twister, because that's where it's like best used anyways, because it just funnels them in a straight line. And then because you're already halfway through the hallway and you can't get stuck on the entrance, you just blast through it instantly. But just micro little gameplay decisions to smooth out the rough edges like that. But the faster you go, the easier it is to control, which is nice if you just like super fixate on trying to go as fast as possible.
I will say I did try. I'm usually a move speed main, especially now after Mage Blood. You can actually get 110% move speed on every build now, right?
Yeah.
I'm really keen on it. I like it a lot. Even the sprinting in between, I don't hate it. It's kind of like a timing thing, right? With the sprint into dodge into pack. But the one thing I will say is I played an accuracy stacker with Tempest Flurry in 0.3, and I absolutely loved it. But that was because my movement skill was also my damage dealer, right? Like that's the dream. Like imagine Whirling Slash and you actually clear with it. That would be the dream, right?
Yeah. We've used an engine with Bone Shatter where you use Wolfpack, because if you weapon swap, your Wolfpack will stay on the set that it's bound to, and you can circumvent the respawn when they die. And you self-sacrifice your wolves with Minion Pact, and that'll cast on minion death spawn in like Ember Fusillade, for example. And we had reduced skill effect duration with Scattering Calamity on like our main damage set. But the entire time I'm moving, I'm just sending out Ember Fusillade on that set, and we've got Archmage, so it does enough damage to like kill all the trash mobs. And we made like an auto bomber like that, where it's like 99% of your gameplay loop, everything's dying just from you moving. And Ember Fusillade has aimbot. You don't have to like do anything to make sure it hits. But there are a couple characters that can get that going. You just have to, have a mirror or more, or else it's not doing any damage. But it's actually a lot easier with those new amulets though, which are pretty cool. Just Archmage for free, right?
Yeah, that's so overpowered. That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about like the movement, like tech from attack speed skills? Do you think, because they tried to nerf Bone Shatter a bit in this patch, right? They removed, I think it was it 30% more, and now it's 20%.
No,
it was increasing.
So it used to be more, and then the first nerf was make it increase, and then it was remove like 10% of the increase.
Yeah, so now it's 20%
but
increase.
They keep adding stuff like support gems, or like in a roundabout way it becomes better even though it got nerfed. Like the alloys now on prefix, where you can just get another 8 attack speed on like all of your rares. So it's like, or you can now Alder's Legacy, what is it? You can Alder's Legacy Trench Timber and get increases in reductions for minion attack speed on a socket now, which was like so broken with Commanding Rage, and that's just in the game now. So it's like faster than ever before, even though it's gotten nerfed. Every time it's gotten nerfed, it's gotten faster, which is like,
it's actually crazier. Like my next build is gonna revolve around. I'm gonna Rage stack, right? And so what they did is they made the +1 max Rage on jewels to +2, and now you can have increased effect, which gets it to +3. And then if you have a rare adorned with at least 34%, you get it to +4. So every jewel is +4 max Rage, and you can get, even on a non-talisman build, non-shapeshifting build, you can get over 100 max Rage. And there's a new support called Medved's Felling, which gives you,
the one.
Yeah, which gives you attack speed per Rage, so you can literally like you're going to be faster than last patch. And then Whirling Slash also in Gemling gets more attack speed for its quality.
I tapped into Varatha's stream the other day. Or no, it was this morning actually, and I was like, yo, what's your attack speed at? I gotta know. Because I'm at like 10.64 in hideout with no buffs. And he's like, 11 point blah blah blah. And I'm like, alright, get in my party. Traded in my attack speed spear, which is like one of the faster ones in the game. Traded in my mage blood, and he's at like 12.5 just sitting in his hideout. I was like, okay, this is nuts, dude.
Yep. I'll have around, I think my pop was like 13 or 14, which we'll see how it goes. I don't know yet if I'm going to do Bone Shatter for movement or Whirling Slash, because I'm actually going to go Falling Thunder, like Infinite Falling Thunder, so I can kind of choose. I don't know which one's better. I heard that Bone Shatter
is better by far.
Bone Shatter?
In terms of like a foot race from point A to point B, Bone Shatter goes further per swing.
I get that, but like But like, what's comfier? Because at a certain speed, as you know, in most layouts, it doesn't matter anymore. Only like how is it around corners and stuff matters, right?
Yeah.
So that's where maybe Whirling Slash is better. I don't know.
I think Bone Shedder steers kind of like a boat at lower attack speeds, but once you get past like the 5 threshold, you really can't notice a difference. It's just like stupid fast for no reason.
Yeah,
But
I'll try out both.
yeah, the Bone Shedder goes further per swing, so you don't need as much APS to like super zoom with it. But yeah, there are also some cool interactions you can do right now, which is probably a bug. If your cursor is close to your Whirling Slash, you like swing further if you're using WASD, which is
You have
like
to hold it down or
unintended
something,
bug.
right?
Yeah, as
Yeah.
long as you're moving in the direction that your like mouse is pointing towards, you just like I think it's like literally double or something. Like I
Oh,
took it
wow.
in Vegas and went frame by frame, and you go so much faster. It's like, okay, this is ridiculous, but you have to like manage your crosshair placement. Most of the time you don't do it, but when you're backtracking and stuff, it's like super, super OP.
Yeah.
That's crazy, yeah. I actually really like how they went with Gemling, because it feels like this is a class where, like, you probably, there is going to be some good starters on it, but it feels like one of those classes where you can confidently reroll into like a second or third build, and you can put so much currency into this build, like just so much scaling going on, like just crazy
Yeah.
scaling. It's going to be able to like top a lot of other classes once it has all of that investment pumped into it. I like it a lot.
It
Yeah,
reminds
we
me a
talked-
lot of
we talked about-
Oracle. Just
Oh,
like
sorry, yeah.
literally play whatever you want on Oracle, play whatever you want on Gemling. It's like the Oracle of this league, where you can, as long as you can deal with starting at that point in tree and you keep that in mind, all right, here's an insane character. Just like super easy right out of the box.
Yeah, we talked about this before the podcast real quickly, but I think that Gemling tells you a lot about where skills are in this game right now, where Gemling makes certain skills viable that just aren't viable before because of whatever reason, right? You need infusions, you need charges. And it's like, it's one thing to need charges for your one-hit boss ability, but it's another thing if you have a skill that is just there to clear, like Ice Nova, and you need infusions for it. It's like, it
Yeah.
makes no sense to me. And I think Gemling really lets you understand how, in what of a weird shape some of the skills are. And a lot of the stuff that Gemling gives you should be baseline. And then Gemling should build up on that and not like make half of the skills viable, because that's what's currently happening, right?
Yeah.
With Gemling. That's why you see so many people run it. No charges, no infusions needed, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, we have another 40 skills unlocked in the game, I guess.
Yep.
Right?
And it's funny because some of the new additional quality is like previous nerfs. Like they took Flicker Strike's old quality and they're just like, oh, you can have it back. Here you go. Like, that's
You can
so
have it if you
good.
start on the bottom of the tree and then use your
Yeah.
split personality. GG's.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just a sign of like how people are optimizing the game at the high end. Like all of the best builds are just bypassing the mechanics that they want you to do, like in some way, shape, or form. Right? I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, you need infusions to empower this skill. No, I'm just going to ignore that. I need to generate charges. No, I'm just going to ignore that. You know, you're just going to try and bypass it. And if you can, obviously, then you're going to do that, right?
Which is a fine mechanic, right? Like that's an ARPG classic. It's like, you're not supposed to do this, wink, wink, but we give you the option to do so, and then you can feel smart about yourself, right? Like that's the essence of ARPGs. But there's a weird thing where if that's half of your skills, and I'm not over exaggerating, by the way, look at what people play on Gemling. They're all things you could not play before. It's not like, I mean, sure, there's some outliers like Twister or whatever, but there's literally skills you've never seen before because they just do not work if you need infusions or charges. It's similar to how they changed ancestral bonds for totems. It's like, well, you need charges, but if you take this keystone, now you don't need charges anymore. And I'm like, okay, why are we doing this weird dance, right? It's like, I mean, sure, but yeah. I don't know.
Also, it's just like there are other times where we've seen this in the game where it's like, oh, you want to use reduced skill effect duration? Well, you've got to play warrior, and you're going to play spells on this warrior, so have a good time with that. And it's only enabled because of like a vanilla ascendancy point that just scales like your tree, which is so funny. But
It is.
Yeah, I do wonder what they're going to do with things like infusions. It feels like they keep trying to make like self-cast spells work, especially at like the low end. I think that's the real problem. You go through the campaign, you just feel really rough. Sometimes,
my idea,
when you're at like really, really juiced, it's not feeling that bad. And especially when you get into the end game and you start to actually get triggers and things like that going, like, yeah, okay, it's starting to pop off. But
Yeah. It feels like there's like a
yeah.
direct line in the sand for enabling these things too, where it's like literally not working and it's total garbage, and then you cross this threshold where it's like, oh, my character just got like a 1.5x in power instantly, and it's like only up from here.
Yeah, for me, it's like, I think I talked to you about this dream before, but the idea of infusions, for example, for me, that's an ascendancy thing. Like, why don't they make Stormweaver about infusions and they enhance skills? But why not take all that stuff away from the main skill? Why not just let me play Ice Nova or this or that and make it like not as strong as it would be with the infusion, but at least make it like competitive? Look at Arc, for example. Arc, you will see right now Arc Gemlings, because Arc has a crazy quality on Gemling. If you guys don't know, it's like more damage per chain remaining. So on single target, you have like 40 chains remaining with the quality, and it deals like times 4 damage. And it's like they don't even use infusions, and infusions triple your damage. And it's just like, what is this weird dance? Just give us a baseline skill that has a little bit something interesting. And if you want infusions, go Stormweaver. But like having all elemental skills hidden behind it's just a weird system, IMO. But yeah.
I also think
the only
over time... No, go on.
Oh, the only real saving grace for the infusion stuff is that like sometimes you can utilize it on a character that like because the elemental skills don't actually need a weapon, like you can use them with whatever you want. Sometimes it's like, all right, I'm on this invoker, or let's just use any Flicker Strike character, for example. I'm on Martial Artist this league, whatever, blah blah blah. I want these infusions in my boss fight. I'm throwing down a Frost Bomb and an Ice Nova with infusion and Power Anointed, and I can just generate power charges whenever I want. That element is cool and should stay, but I do think it's so funny that it's like there's clear-cut examples of this is just like Thanos overpowered, or it's legit complete total garbage 0% pick rate. Yeah.
Yep, it's unplayable. It's like Fireball, and also on a personal level, I think that these normie skills, right? Like for example, Spark, you see in every ARPG. Fireball, you see in every ARPG. Like it can't be that an ARPG makes those like niche. Those should be the first things you pick up, and then you maybe go into other more complex niche skills. But like, if I tell you Fireball, would you say, "Oh, I need a complex sort of fire infusions in order to use it"? Because if you try Fireball vanilla, it's so bad. It's like you literally can't play it. It's so bad.
I'm just be the Ice Strike of spells. Like
exactly, it should be so basic in vanilla, or at least spells should have that. And I really wish they put infusions on an Ascendancy or something more complex, and they remove it, especially early game. I think that all these charge things and all these infusion things do not belong in the first 20 levels of the game at all, like whatsoever. It should build upon, and at the start, just let people like throw out a fucking fireball and have it do damage, right? Like I don't see the issue with that, but yeah.
Yeah, I also think over time they're probably going to struggle with keeping those philosophies alive in the game, because it's like, you know, infusion, having to collect an infusion and then empowering the skill and having it being based around and balanced around the fact that you're using an infusion is the same with the skills where you spend a charge and you gain this like empowered attack or whatever. Over time, there's just going to be a lot of power creep when it comes to actually gaining infusions or gaining charges. Then they have to like go back and be like, okay, we need to make sure we're balancing this around the fact that like everyone always has charges now, everyone always has infusions, because it's going to happen naturally, right? That they're just going to have so much creep in that regard. So
it's even weirder than that, what you just said, because they have stuff like Unleash, they have stuff like Echoes, and all of those need another infusion. So you're never going to use them together. They make no sense. And they're like fundamental. And then you also, like the best feeling casters have a lot of cast speed, right? But the more cast speed you have, the more infusions you now need. So you can't really scale that either. It's just a weird, I think it's a weird vibe right now.
And like we were saying earlier, there's just like this clear line in the sand where it's like not working and it is working. And it's like the infusion dropping on the location of the monster's death. Or if you're using something like Snap, it's wherever the monster was killed at, right? So if you've got the kind of skill that can kill a monster across the screen, now you need the movement speed to be close enough to the infusion for it to like gravitate towards your character and like you magnet pick it up. And it's like, now do I have to scale into infusion pickup range? Is that what I have to do now? Because it's like
weird. Also, if you're Stormweaver, it's kind of like that opened my eyes to, so now this actually feels good, right? You get the infusion
built in, right?
It's kind of like, and then it made sense and it clicked. And I was like, well, isn't this what they should be baseline? And then maybe Stormweaver improves upon that instead of having to go Stormweaver. it's just awkward because it gets you into a weird situation as well where okay, so if you want to be mana stacker with the new wand, you have to be shaman. If you want to be life stacker, you have to be blood mage. But then, okay, so Stormweaver, when am I actually then gonna be Stormweaver if all of this is hidden behind it? And I don't know. It's just weird. Like they making these ascendancies very specific, and the baseline skill is very like niche. I don't know if I like that. Is all I'm saying. But,
Yeah, there's the way I've always described it is like in this game, it feels like there's two kind of ascendancies. You've got like the niche is only good with these skills characters, and then you've got like the vanilla characters where it's like if you don't know what ascendancy to use, you click on Deadeye, you click on Titan, you click on one any of the monk ones for the most part, except for Chayula in case you're like actually trying to scale volatility whatever. And it's like there's these characters in the game where it's just like people just default to it because they don't really know how they're going to scale this specific skill any further. So it's like, oh, just click Deadeye, whatever. You got a bow, Deadeye, fine, good enough. Oracle, same thing. Can you even make a bad character on an Oracle? Like, is it even possible? But very funny.
That might be something that they kind of address over time. I do think they want to have those generic classes in the game. Like, they want to have, like, here's your go-to, like, this is just a warrior character. Like, even after Ascended, this is kind of what you kind of, going to expect. Like, using a mace, heavy stunning, that type of thing, right? Or aftershocks or whatever. And then you have like the Deadeye with, okay, I'm firing an extra projectile. I do think they want those generic things in the game, but it does feel like the more recent Ascendancy they've been adding are just like getting more and more crazy and, like you said, more niche and like specialize into something. Like, okay, I'm now taming a monkey and that monkey's just one-shotting everything.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if they will go back and review some of the older Ascendancies because I was thinking about the other day, like, think about like the Smith of Kataba's like summoned weapon. I can't remember what it's called now. It's so bad. Like the like weapon that follows you around, like that compared to the tamed beast, right? On the new Ascendancy. Like, what is that? What is that?
Compare that for the same exact point investment to Umbra Well on Abyssal Lich. Like 481% increased damage with projectile speed. Like, oh, okay, for sure. I'm just playing attacks now. Like, yeah, that's 2-point investment for that. Like, versus my quarterstaff is animated and sometimes does a little spin. Like, okay, and it does 0 damage.
Does AoE factor? It doesn't factor into the speed of Whirling Slash, right?
No. Just Whirling Slash actually hidden tag works like Cyclone from PoE 1, where skill melee strike range is a scalar. Little known fact, if you want to mess around with that, little pro tip for some people
scale it
rocking that.
At all?
Yeah, there's like reaching strike, which is a really good annoyant because it is like better than what you can get for AoE. And if you're playing it on the left side of the tree, speaking of Smith of Katava, like detonate dead fire spell on hit with whirling assault is legit broken. If anybody out there is playing a warrior and you're not having fun on mace skills for whatever, I wonder why, for whatever reason, like, and you want to switch to whirling, fire spell on hit is ridiculous with Detonate Dead because you don't have to scale any spell damage. It does like percentage based stuff, and it just blows all the corpses up on the screen. Cool little avenue for building there, but
that's the classic. Like from PoE 1, we had years and years where the DD was just like this. It was just this thing that like everyone knew about it.
Are so completely
broken.
They're so dumb. They just scale with the difficulty. It's like, okay, well.
Yeah,
and when you have all these like mechanics that have like progressively spawning monsters, like a breach, like an abyss, like expedition with the new waves and stuff, it makes these skills so good because it's like one monster died and another monster is going to take its place on top of an explosion. Ritual, literally all of the mechanics in the game are just like victims to the skill.
One other thing I wanted to discuss on this topic is just on the topic of build discussion. Still, it's like weapon locked skills, because we have a course they came in with like, okay, here's a mace, and we've got like the list of mace skills. You got some shield skills in there as well, obviously, but there's not that many options on a like per weapon basis. And something that I've really been a fan of, and I've kind of been pushing for, is them opening up some skills to be used with multiple weapons. Right? It feels like some quarterstaff skills should be able to use with maces. Same thing with like mace skills being used with quarterstaffs. And then obviously, as they add more and more weapon types into the game, they can kind of mix and match it a bit with where it makes sense, right? And that would then open up like new build ideas. I wondered, Prada, what do you think about like the kind of the options you have available to you at the moment when it comes to sort of skills on a per weapon type basis.
I like the idea of what you mentioned, but I feel like because weapon swaps are a thing, that's like where their head is at, and they want you to use that bow with the weapon swap crossbow instead of just letting you use like your crossbow to do one bow skill or something. But I feel like just in general, like specific weapons in this game suffer from some like superlative skill that just outshines all the alternatives, and the rest of your skills in your character are either like spirit or just like buffs to buff your main skill, right? And it's like if you think about like baseline, what makes for a good character, you're solving for like 3 objectives for the most part, like clear single target defense, right? In whatever order you choose. And you've got a skill like Twister or Whirling Assault, and it's like it provides you with this like massive buffer where nothing can get close to you, you're never in harm's way. The only way you're gonna die is with like a severe misplay. And it's like, okay, am I going to use Twister, which kills 3 screens and gives me, inherent safety throughout all my maps, or am I going to use Glacial Lance 7 times to kill 4 monsters? And it's like, then you're thinking about that, like, okay, now what do I want to do for 150 hours of gameplay on my first character? And it's like, immediately, your decision is made for you. And it's like, maybe if there were some skills that you could use on your weapon that were on another, existing one, it would shake up the meta a bit. And because the game obviously for the longest time has just been the better your character gets, the more buttons you remove from it. And it's like if you want to incentivize people to use some more buttons, maybe you throw in a cool skill or two on a weapon that's got a cool skill or two. But I think the game would be better that way, but I do worry that because weapon swapping is like already a key element to the game, they're just gonna keep it how it is and just make you weapon swap all your stuff.
I kind of agree.
Like,
I thought about this a lot as well, and my current take is I think it's bad if they did that, because I don't think it solves the problem you talked about, Dream, but it also introduces new problems. So, for example, let's say that quarterstaff skills also work with axes once they come out, and like swords or whatever. And all of a sudden you have a different problem, which is like, oh, this one sword base has more attack speed and better fizz, and now everybody has to go swords, right? So what does that even do then, right? And so it's kind of the reverse issue. And at the end of the day, I don't think it solves anything. And it's just a balance issue. It's like, why is everybody playing Ice Shot on bows? Why is everybody playing Twister on spears and whatnot? Once that's a little bit better balanced, and you also have to remember that it's kind of screwed up with the uniques they released. For example, imagine some skills working with Pillar of the Caged God, or maybe in the future we see stuff that has flat damage built in, and then you can use it with Pillar. So they also have to think about that all the time, which is going to introduce a lot of issues. And right now, the issue is mainly just that some weapon classes just don't have any skills. For example, I was so hyped about Bruce Lead Sprinkler this patch. And I know there's ways around this, and there's stuff that you can use with it. But baseline Mace skills, right? Like, I'm not touching them. So that's an issue, right? Spears are very one-sided right now because they were so afraid of Lightning Spear and whatnot. But I honestly think it's just a balance issue, and I think they can keep it this way. And it's also thematic, right? Like, if we're being honest, the game is a lot of role play and a lot of we want you to go warrior with Mace and whatnot. So it makes it a lot easier for new players as well.
It's funny that a couple of these weapons are like, I mean, you can use the spells, for example, because all of them are different, even though these aren't like directly tied to a weapon type, right? Like, technically not, but really are, because if you want to skill it, you got to use a wand, or you know what I mean? Like, they all operate in the game so differently. And then just think about the crossbow, right? It's like, oh, this is galvanic shards. Don't confuse that with permafrost bolts or incendiary rounds or fragmentation rounds. They're actually all different skills, and it's like it's literally the same thing. And it's like, oh, these are all the grenades. They're actually all completely different skills. Wink, wink. And it's like legit the same thing reskinned over and over and over. So it's like, oh, you want to use a crossbow? Cool. Do you want to shoot out Nova projectile circle of Galv shards, or do you want to put bombs on the floor? And it's like very funny, because then you compare it to like quarterstaff skills, which are like all by design, just like very different. You've got the palm stuff, you've got the do you want to flicker strike like an anime character and insta kill everything? Do you want to spin in a big circle? And it's like, that's versatility. And then the bow skills are all pretty much the same thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know how
Off
you would
with
change
element.
it. Yeah, yeah, literally same thing.
Yeah.
Like lightning arrow 1, lightning arrow 2, lightning arrow 3, lightning arrow 4, but this one has an AoE at the end. Like okay.
Yeah, I think I would like to see them kind of make skills work for multiple different weapon types, but I do see the issues that it poses there from like a balance perspective. It's the kind of thing we had in PoE 1 where it's like we have Facebreaker and we got like Void Forge and things like that. So now like other skills, like some skills just can't work with swords, right? Because you're just that's not a thing, right? If it did, everyone would be playing that. So you know, I guess from that perspective, yeah, and maybe over time, once they've actually got all of the classes into the game and all the base weapon types, then they can go back and start adding new skills, right? They can be like, okay, the Mace is in desperate need of help, so let's like add 10 new skills this patch, right? 10 new Mace skills.
I think what you said is also going to sort out some of the issues, because right now we're hyper focused on maces, right? Because quarterstaves, I mean, sure, it's melee, right? But like this burly fantasy of like warrior or whatever, strength based class, that right now only has mace, which is weird because it has axes, flails, swords are still coming, right? Or maybe even more. So there's a lot more to come. So that's one of the most unexplored things ever. And once we have all of those out, it doesn't matter. One season flails are going to be bad. One season maces are going to be bad. But we have 3 others. Right now, we only have 1, and it sucks. So that's why we have strong feelings about it. And I don't think that's really going to happen in the future. Sorry?
If you want to use a Mace skill, it's better on another character, which is like so... Like, imagine telling that to a brand new player. He sees the advertising of the game, he sees the new league, and he's like, oh, dude, I want to play the warrior. That sounds insane. He's never played PoE 1 before. He's getting in the game. He's swinging slow as hell. And then he clicks on a stream and somebody's playing Infernalist and they're using Forge Hammer with Palm of the Dreamer and just blowing up the whole screen with, like, from across the map, just yeeting hammers. And it's like, oh, so that's what you can do with maces. Like,
no, my
favorite... go reroll to a witch? Like, what?
Dude, my favorite is if he comes in, new player, picks Earthquake. Yo, that's awesome. Start swinging, waits for 4 seconds. That's like the best shit ever.
Perfect strike. Yeah. I'm about to destroy this boss. Whiffs because he's got no accuracy. Lit, bro.
Why is it 4 seconds, though? Like, I actually just don't get it. How is it 4 seconds baseline? What's happening there?
I don't know.
And skill effect duration is already like a brain scrambler for like people that have got sub 500 hours in the game. Imagine trying to tell somebody that, like, yeah, dude, you want to use Earthquake, you've got to take this funny stat, and the best node for it is actually across the tree from you. So just go ahead and path over there to get that. Like,
dude, I'm still getting shit for this, by the way. In season 1, my first character ever, I was like memeing. I was trying out a warrior. I was like picking Earthquake. And I slammed with it on the ground and waited for 4 seconds. I think that's my biggest clip ever. Like, I was just laughing my ass off, right? And I rerolled immediately at level 3, by the way. And people were thinking that I don't know that you can circumvent that. Yes, you can use 2 supports, can go around the passive tree, and then use this level 1 melee skill. But that's not the point. The point is, if you give a new player a skill that looks very, like, front-loaded, it's, like, very obvious. Okay, Earthquake, big damage, boom. And that's the first skill they get, and you wait 4 seconds? Like, that's insane. There needs to be, like, a baseline, and I said this about the LE skills as well. There needs to be a baseline set of skills where people don't feel bad about using them, right? Like, they just can pick it up, and it maybe doesn't scale as well into endgame, but they did this in PoE 1 as well, by the way. If you remember, they tried it with Burning Arrow, but a lot of stuff got a little bit more streamlined, so new players don't get completely destroyed at level 1. And, PoE 2 does a better job, but I would really love to see a little bit of an easier entry.
Yeah,
into the
Mace skills just suffer so bad if they don't have a perfect Jeweler's Orb in them. Like, perfect Jeweler's Orb with 5 supports, and all of a sudden Sunder, it doesn't just hit in a straight line, and you can send out, 2 extra ones on the side and get a little bit of AoE going. And it's like for the most part, within reason, like, maybe some of the bow skills you'll actually throw in something like a rapid attacks or something. But it's like, for the most part, it's like you just type in more damage. The phrase more damage, throw in the supports, and you're good to go. If you're using LE, throw in Rockiatas. Like, never look back ever again. When you're on the warrior, you're like, all right, or on Mace skills in general, you're like, let me just figure out exactly how I can make the skill operational with 4 supports, and then I'll use one of them to get more damage on this. And it's like, what am I doing with my time right now? What is happening?
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like they won't realize like the full vision of the Mace playstyle until they have the other like competing weapons in there on that side of the tree, like the axe and the sword. Because
they
need like Mace is supposed to be like this slow, hard-hitting slam type gameplay, right? But right now it's like the best way to use it is just to get as fast as possible anyway. And that whole fantasy of like waiting for something to happen is just not a thing. So
and honestly, I don't know about you, Dream, but I trust GGG with that, because if you look at quarterstaves, one thing you can say is that they aren't cool as hell. Like, all those skills look cool, they feel good to use, and
animations
then
are clean too.
They're so clean, like it's actually fun, and it propels you forward, it does weird moves, and then you have maces, which are just like, they're just slow, and that's what they're supposed to do. I think they really screwed up with putting that out first, because I think if we would see what swords do and axes do, because in general, thematically in ARPGs, hammers, maces are slow, right? Swords are faster, axes are somewhere in between, and flails, we don't know, right? Maybe it's some ranged-ish thing. And they put out the slowest first, and in a game where you get perma-stunned and just clobbed by white mobs, that's just a little bit weird, right? So I think it will all solve itself once we have the whole breadth of things. And I'm not overreacting right now, because I look at quarterstaves and I'm like, this is one of the smoothest gameplay styles I've ever seen in any RPG, right? So
I literally think that the quarterstave skills are like baseline. That is like what the game should be centered around. Like the way those operate in the video game, except for the very beginning early campaign, just like so fun the entire time. Once you get like your first herald going, it's just like smooth sailing from there for the rest of your character's like, gameplay life cycle till you get bored. But it's like, my main gripe with the Mace skills is like every single Mace skill, mandatory rapid attacks 2, mandatory magnified area 2. If it's got a fissure, mandatory one of the 2 fissure supports. And then it's like, which other 2 supports do you want to use to make this skill playable? Like not fun, not good, playable. And it's like, damn, dude.
And let's be real as well. The one thing that screws up Mace skills, and that's the only thing, is added attack time that you can't scale. That is the biggest issue right now. It's like, don't tell me how to play my character. I understand that it's supposed to be slow, but also attack speed makes my build feel better into endgame.
Yeah.
And it feels bad to have a +1 attack time, +1 second attack time. So am I now supposed to... I still need to scale attack speed, but it only works on 40% of my attack anime. So what am I supposed to do, right? It's just awkward.
And to your point, too, it's not like that side of the tree has access to any attack speed, like, nodes in the tree either. You literally have no options there as well. So it's like, not only can you not scale it with your tree and, like, circumvent what they intended for you to do, which was, like, swing slow. It's like, you have to, what are you going to do, circle the tree and get emeralds? Like, probably not. You just beeline it to the right instantly from your tree, pick up whatever notables you can on the way, and just, like, try to get access to... acceleration or something, falcon dive, sand in the eyes, like all those like super good ones in the middle right. But yeah, very
it's also hilarious because like, I don't know if you guys know this, but self chill actually does scale your added attack time as well. It scales everything. It scales
I saw that.
how fast you pull down the lever. It scales how fast your fixed attack time is. So that was like one thing where people didn't experiment enough with it, but they did it on. I mean. Yeah, self-chill is already really hard to do and takes a lot of opportunity cost, but that is currently one way, and all of a sudden the skills actually feel pretty damn good, right? So I really think that if they remove that added attack time, but I guess that's what they want it to be, right?
Well,
they want it to be...
I think that this will go back to them adding the new weapons in, because the whole point of having the added attack time there is like, I can choose to do this slow playstyle, and then I'm not investing in attack speed, and now I'm getting like, I'm supposedly getting this big payoff of like, here's this giant hit that comes after that very long delay, right? And right now it's like, I just want to play this style of game, but there's no weapons that support it, so I'm not going to play maces, or I'm going to go and play something on the other side of the tree. Whereas in the future, you're going to be able to say, okay, I want to play that play style, I'm going to play axes, or I'm going to play swords, because their options are going to be there, right? Whereas I think once they actually have those options in the game, they can then go back and look at maces and be like, yeah, we really want to double down on this play style, and if someone wants to fulfill that fantasy of like a really slow swinging mace, then let's let them have it.
I also think, like, I'm just curious to see, like, obviously we'll never have access to data like this because they would never reveal something like this, but I do think we have the kind of devs that can think outside of the box, and when everybody is saying we need to go left and we're going right currently, they're like, how about we just go over, I think they're good at, like, creative problem-solving things. I would really love to see, though, what, like, the average map clear time is on characters with maces compared to the other skills. Like, genuine curiosity, it's got to be like 1.5x time on every single map. Like, The only time I've ever had a Mace character that was like actually zooming was the Infernalist with like permacrit Nebulock. I think I had a implicit corrupted attack speed on a Nebulock with 3 Equipolotl Soul Cores just to attack as fast as possible, and you could like permacrit with the character and just stack crit bonus. And it was just Forge Hammer with a Dreamer, just blow everything up. And it has the like the totem effect where you can like move and use it and you don't get slowed at all. So like in the same, you're familiar with this because you played totems. So like you put the totem down, it doesn't slow you down a one bit, and it's like using a skill that would normally hinder your movement a bit, right?
Yeah.
And it's like with Forge Hammer, you don't get slowed at all. So you would just get a companion that had Haste Aura, and it would just keep up with you, and you would like run fast as hell through the map, get an Adorned, get some attack speed, whatever, and just yeet hammers. But yeah, it's a shame that like the one character that I feel like actually could use some love, not in the Ascendancy department, because I really do think the Warrior Ascendancies are like nasty. It's just like, don't play with maces.
Yeah.
I feel like the one character that could use the most love also thematically has like the worst weapon archetype associated with it right now, and it's like, dude, that's got to feel like such shit if you're a new player switching into that. Like,
I mean, what you just said also makes me a little bit sad because I realized that the whole game, it's not just maces themselves, it's like the whole game is kind of measured in speed right now, which for a sandbox game is really awkward. Because, for example, in PoE 1, you have all sorts of roles you can play. You can be a bosser, you can be a build that, I don't know, does something like simulacrums all day where you stand still. Not everybody is a mapper, not everybody is measured just by speed, but that is where we're currently at. And bosses are just so easy that being a bosser, what does that even mean? Everybody's a bosser. So you don't have any specialized things right now, and that also means that slow classes get just fall behind. So maybe just like changing the game in that way will also solve that problem on its own.
Yeah, also like that's an incredible point too, because you make a PoE 1 character with like the content you're going to play in mind. Like this is going to be a delve character, period. It's not going to farm anything else. I'm not going to have to get any, ability to kill some specific T16 map boss. I'm not going to be running the same map over and over farming for currency. All I'm going to do is delve. That's it. And it's like you can do that, and it's like that's an like efficient way to play. You're going to make the exact currency you need to improve that character from the content that you want to play. But in PoE 2, it's like every single character can do every single thing in the game effortlessly with like the right plan. And it's like that's nice because you can like flip-flop if you're getting bored of whatever content you're playing. But you can't like lean into anything and benefit from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody's an all-rounder.
Yeah. Also, just like a caveat to this point too, like you can't even really farm bosses off cooldown now anyways. Like there's like a handful. Like if you want to fight King of the Mist, you got to go. I mean, you can buy mats off trade to fight, Bodok or whatever, or just pick your favorite boss, but like having to go get the Breachstone, having to go do find the little areas where you can click your little what are they called? Drawn a complete blank here. You want to kill King of the Mist, you got to find it on the map. You want to kill Zesh, you got to find it on the map. And it's like path. And I think this was because they were tired of watching people buy 600 Breachstones and just farm it off cooldown. And it's just like infinite money printer glitch if you just play all day long. But yeah, it's like even if you wanted to do that, you can't. Like that's not even an option anymore.
This has been a problem though since launch. I remember making a video back in 0.3 about like movement speed just being a huge issue in this game, because it's like you basically just feel like no matter what you're doing in the game, you have to build movement speed, and when you don't, you feel absolutely terrible. Actually, you just feel so slow. I mean, my current character, like, it's definitely not the fastest at all. It's kind of made up for by the fact that I literally don't press any buttons and things just die around me. But like it doesn't. If I compare myself to like another build that's like going 4 times as fast as I am, obviously that's not feeling great, right? And the trouble is, like you said there, Pal, like the content isn't there. Like there's no. I can't say, okay, I'm going to have this character that doesn't move around a lot and go and do a content piece that's just stand in one place, kill monsters, because I still have to progress maps. And as Prada was saying, now you have to actually do this quest line, and that means doing several maps over and over again to actually get from point A to point B. So I'm not really sure. I think this is probably a content problem that they can solve over time with more content. So it probably goes back to like what we were talking about like the weapon skills and all that stuff. It's probably just going to be solved on its own with more time put into the game. But,
yep. I also think that balancing right now, because of that, is not really something they should really look into. They should look into putting everything out there, right? Like putting all the tools out there. And then whenever they introduce a new tool, the whole game changes, right? Like whenever a new class comes out, like Oracle came out, Shaman came out, and the whole game, the whole, everything kind of changes, right? And they do like tiny bits of balancing in between. I think that's totally fine, right?
Dude, I love the idea that they shouldn't be focusing on balancing the game, making everything equally as good right now because it is incomplete. It's not complete yet. It's not. They've admitted too. This isn't just our like opinion or whatever. They've admitted that the game's not ready, or else it would be released. This would be 1.0. This wouldn't be 0.5, right? So it's like let people have their fun. Let people abuse all the broken stuff. Don't leave it up to this community, by the way. Leave it up to this community to tell you what's OP. We'll figure it out eventually if you give us enough time. We're going to find all the broken interactions, and then you can hit the hammer on all of them. And they can play that big game of whack-a-mole before release where it's like, this is too good single target, this clear is too insane. And, all those crazy builds get bonked, but we've got, new weapons to work with, so we don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about balance for now. That I totally agree with that sentiment that it's like, it should not be a primary focus. Just make it so that even if we don't actually like think we do, give us the illusion of choice even. Like I don't think that Expedition was like this grandiose change to the game like it was marketed to be. Like obviously the expansion of the Atlas and like it's in a fixed location and it's like ever expanding. It really is just like a grid that you reveal that is just like the map in the other spot. But I don't think it like changed the gameplay loop insane. Like pretty much plays the exact same that it did before, but it's fun. Playing it's fun.
Yep. Yeah, on the topic of the end game, I want to do a bit of discussion more towards not so much this current patch, but kind of the future of the game, like the reset patches, the 1.0 full launch. I want to talk about how those end game changes are going to feel moving forward. Not so much how we feel about them now, but like, for example, there's quite a few things in the game right now which are kind of like RP elements where you're like kind of progressing a quest line and there's lots of story steps and things like that going on.
Roleplay.
The roleplay, exactly.
Yeah.
How is that going to feel, doing that the second time, the third time, fourth time?
Mm-hmm.
Prada, let's go to you first. I mean, how did you, like, obviously you've progressed the end game. All of us have progressed the end game once, done like quest lines and things like that. Do you think, like, is this going to feel good to interact with, like, over and over again? Do you think it's something where they should probably consider adding a way to, like, skip this somehow or like, progress a bit faster?
So I'm already in the camp that, like, I make about between, like, 7 and 15 characters a league. I play the whole league, like, legit degen, no life the video game. I enjoy a nice campaign when I haven't played it in a while. And I've specifically, deliberately not tried to optimize my campaign time. So it's like one element of the game that I can always enjoy. And it's just like new skill every time. Don't play the same thing twice. Like I'll get something out of this campaign just so it doesn't become stale for me. But after this league, obviously this is like super biased and specific to this league because I know this is all going to get changed. But like the feeling of your first quest line being bugged and you're like soft locked was gut wrenching. I was legit going to be the first ever Abyssal Lich in the game. And I traded with the boss, ran out of portals, and somebody in my party gets it. And I'm like, oh, gut wrenching. And I think that'll change your decision making. Like, do I want to play this character for a league start again, knowing that I have to go do an entire Abyss quest line? I don't know. If my strategy is like, I want to farm Ritual early because, with my previous experience with, 0.5 or whatever, Ritual was really good early. And if I get that one unique, it'll change my league, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, but I got to go do that Ritual quest line. And now that we know what it is, and we know how, like, annoying some of the parts can be, and it's like, we know that boss is really rough with that skill. I don't know. Also, aren't we getting, like economy resets too? So it's like, not only are we gonna, is it gonna be like, 5-6 months from now we got to do it again, but it's gonna be sooner. I don't know. I really don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, but I can tell you this: I'm not doing Abyss first ever again. That's definitely not happening. But I think it's cool that all of the mechanics have like a floor. Like, you must be able to do this specific thing. if you're going to play Deli early, you better have that single target, right? If you're going to do Ritual early, you better be able to clear and sustain. If you're going to do Abyss, you better be able to survive. You better be res capped. If you're not res capped, you're getting slammed, right? And it's like, it's cool that not only do you play by the quest line objective, but it's also like your character has to keep certain things in mind when you're playing the content. And it's like, only early is this a thing, because as we all know, once your character is going, none of this matters ever again. Like the second you're, going downhill with your character and it's smooth sailing, like we're not worried about our resistances while we're fighting Abyss or our damage when we're doing Deli. You're there and it's good to go. But that's a great question. I really don't know how I'm going to feel until I'm hit in the face with that.
I really like what they tried to do, because you gradually build like knowledge base about a certain mechanic. Like, for example, you do Abyss, and if you first do Abyss, you're like, oh, you don't know what's going on. Then you do it a second time and you're like, oh, these monsters always spawn whenever I clear everything around it. Oh, and then, oh, there's different chests. So they're giving you time to develop those skills, right? You do 7, 8 of Abyss maps and you slowly ease into it, and then there's a boss, right? So I like the structure of it, but as you alluded to, Dream, that's going to become grating if you have to do it over and over and over every league. Best example of this is King's March in Path of Exile 1, where you had to unlock the whole city. So for people who don't know, in Path of Exile, it was a mini game where you had to unlock different things in the city, build the city, rebuild the city, and then you could like send ships and whatnot. That was really fun the first time around. It was not so fun the second and third time around, because it takes a lot of time. And the worry is, I guess, that all these quest lines will creep up. There will be new ones. And in the end, we just have quests creep, and we're just questing for 5 days or whatever, which is insane. Like,
which
I've been questing
like
for 4 days.
Start too.
Yeah, I've been questing for 4 days, and I don't do anything else but gaming on League Start. So it's like, what the hell is 90% of people going to do? And it's also weird because people always say, oh, but you only have to do this one quest line that you're actually interested in, and then you focus on that, which is not true at all, because if you do all of them, there's always like some global nodes in there that give you extra mobs in every map, right? Or if you're just like normal mapping. So it's not even true. Like you really want to complete most of it, other than maybe, I guess, Temple, maybe not. But
because when you're getting those one-off mechanics in your map, like having an entirely completed ritual tree and you're getting random rituals given to you with like Jado Atlas Master is like legit broken compared to no points in ritual. Or Deli, perfect example. You don't even need to be Deli mirror influenced on your map. If you just have a Deli mirror in your map for free and you walk through it, I'm not talking about when you click on the Atlas, I mean literally in the map, free Deli encounter. Yeah. It's just like infinite packs in your map for free.
Extra abysses, so you drop more abyss tablets. Like, you want to fill out all of them for the most part.
Yep. But also, like, an average player isn't beelining to one mechanic and just, like, farming one mechanic with, like, 3 Abyss tablets, for example. They're going and doing, like, each of the quests, and then they're just throwing in any random tablet. So that's what they're doing, right? That's how an average player is playing the game. And so when they got, like, this flooded endgame, which is how I think it's going to be in like, unless they kind of change the system there, where right now we have like this, here's the starting point, and like, oh, you can go over here, there's the fortress immediately in front of you, here's Breach, like there's Abyss just to the side there. Like, it's going to become ridiculous, and you're also going to have a thing where it's like, well, my favorite, like, let's say you've got the more experienced players who do want to do like one mechanic, right? But their one mechanic is really far away from the start because it can't physically go near the start because there's no room, right? Yeah. So, and maybe they'd have it so, like, at that point, they're just going to have random generation, because it's like, I do wonder whether they will go back to the random generation thing, but have it so that it's, like, randomly generated in a way that makes sense. So it's like, okay, Breach doesn't have to spawn, like, to the south or to the north or whatever. It will just spawn within a certain radius of the start, right? And it'll be somewhere. Like,
I don't know if that's actually going to be an issue, because they have, like, the system where the fortress is in the middle and you have the towers which reveal, so they could build everything around the fortress. They still have space for, like, and they have entrances throughout the fortress, so you can go to all sides. So I don't know if that necessarily is going to be an issue. They can still pump like 50 mechanics there, probably. Right?
I don't think there'd be anything wrong with pigeonholing you into the fortress early. Like, I genuinely think that would be fine.
The fortress is fine. I agree.
Yeah. Also, I do think that, like, as time passes, we're just going to see people that obviously this game's full of nerds. They're just immediately going to optimize like, oh, okay, I know that this powerful map boss node can be accessed with 28 points. And once I get those 28 points, an additional Rogue Exile will always spawn on my map. And that means that I can immediately run Abyss and drop Heart of the Wells on League Start and just print. Like, that avenue is going to be a thing, right? And it's like, if I don't know what their plan is for Atlas point refunding, but it's like, if there's a line in the sand where it's like 38 points gets you that, and all you have to do is your Abyss quest, and then you can refund, and at 55 points you can do this farm, and then you refund all those, and then at 76 points you can do this farm. Like, people will eventually optimize the game like that if that's an avenue. I think that will be interesting. I also think if there's just a mechanic that's so good that doesn't go nerf for a while, imagine at the start of every league, everybody just books it south to Expedition. Like, that would be so funny. But
like the refund is an interesting one because their goal was kind of that you want to fill out your whole Atlas passive tree. So why would you need refunds? That was probably their idea. And it's like, well, the quest line takes a while. Maybe not for us, but for the average person, it takes a while to get all the points, especially because the boss unlocks you can't even get all of them. You'll have to buy some of them, or it takes you forever, and it's pretty expensive, right? So, because you're competing with other nerds who want to complete it ASAP, and they just buy them all up, right? Okay, cool. But the problem is they should definitely have respec points, because most people are not going to get all the skill points for a while. And as you alluded to, there's going to be skill points you want to take early, and if you have them, you're better off than if you don't have them. And on that note, I guess they should definitely introduce passive points, as well as that. There will be instances where somebody doesn't want a certain node on the tree. It will happen. It has already semi-happened with reduced rarity and whatnot, but it will happen. It will happen. So why not just give us the option, right? You can even make it free.
Even within the mechanic, too, in response to the market, like there's a Deli node that gives you ancient Deli emotions, and it's like all of those are worthless, like literally worthless. So luckily, I did Deli really late, and everyone was like, don't spec that node. Whatever you do, don't spec that node. And I was like, oh, okay, -1 point in the Deli tree. But I'm like not dropping garbage, so that's nice. But yeah, it's so funny. And it's like the only ones that you can change are the ones where you have an option to change them. Very funny. I mean, just make it gold. Just make it gold. It's already like a pain point.
They have to add respecs. Yeah, they've got to add Atlas tree respecs. It's just... It just doesn't... I know what they were going for with that, but it doesn't make any sense not to have respecs in the game. Because it's like, if you just have respecs, then you basically avoid all of those like niche issues that people are going to run into. And people will run into niche issues as the game grows, as they like balance the passive tree out, right? They're going to balance it out, they're going to change some nodes. Maybe we even see like... I mean, just in the first 3 weeks of this patch, they've added like a bunch of new stuff to the Atlas tree, right? So they're probably going to be doing more of that in like the reset patches. Maybe we're going to see some nodes go away completely and new ones come in there before 1.0. And yeah, just have it so that someone can respec if they want to respec. I just don't... I don't really get it otherwise. Like I don't really...
think they will add it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where I'm not really sure why they're so reluctant on it. Like, I do understand what they were going for initially, because the way Jonathan like described the tree as like, yeah, you want to fit it all out because you're not going to have that situation where like you enter a map and you want to like unspec, or you want to spec something that you don't have, right? But just having the option to respec isn't really much. They're not giving away much there, right? Like, if I can just take a few nodes out. So I definitely like to see them add that option.
And it also puts a weird pressure on them because the onus is now on you to make it so all of these nodes that can't be changed, that are not optional ones, are objectively good, which they're not. They're not all objectively good. Some of them literally get in the way of your ability to like do a certain farm or play a specific piece of content.
And people play a lot, right? People play the game a lot. Like, they're playing one character, they're playing one strat or whatever, and now like a week's passed, now they want to go and play another strat, and I spec'd like this wheel over here, and that's going to screw my farm now. Like, okay, guess I just can't do that, right?
Or I really don't want shrines anymore. I'm not using them. You know what I mean? And I could use some extra currency. Maybe I want some strong boxes. Like, and it's like, too bad, bro. Like, in fact, you're going to have to go back to the fortress and get those points that you were reluctant to get because it was going to time rug you for like an hour and a half. Like, sorry, dude. Very funny.
Okay, so looking forward to the the reset patches in 1.0. I want to kind of close out this pod with a bit of discussion on what you guys want to see in those reset patches and in 1.0. Like, what are the things that come at the top of your list for things you want to see, as the game approaches full launch? Prada, let's start with you. Like, what's something that you really want to see in PoE 2 for the full launch?
Obviously, like, the most obvious answer that every single person is going to agree on is just like weapons, right? Because weapons in this game are skills, right? We don't even have to delve into that one super crazy, but speaking of delve, I just would need something that's like progressive difficulty scaling so that like it actually matters that my character's min-maxed. I don't care if it is delve or a new mechanic entirely. I don't care if they take an old mechanic. Like, first of all, I don't think they got enough credit for this. When we were in 0.2 and we were like, oh, what do we want? What mechanic do we want? Everyone was throwing out stuff. Not a soul said Abyss. Because when you think of Abyss, you think of it Abyss in PoE 1, and it's like, oh, the occasional backtrack in my map, how nice, right? And the rework to Abyss was like legit, like GOAT tier development. So I don't want to like say a mechanic and say, if I don't get this, I'm not going to be happy. But something with difficulty scaling where I'm like rewarded for min-maxing. So I don't get bored of my character and feel like respecking because I just like legit totally mogged the entire game, right? Something like that would be cool. I think the best part of Temple was that you could make the monster's health 12 times what it should normally be, and they had like 8 mods, and you were rewarded for having a sick character. But yeah, that's important to me. I guess this is off the back of the weapons too, but I really like transformative supports that like change how skills work. Even if it's something simple like Nova projectiles, like the gameplay change in Galv Shards without it and Galv Shards with it, where I can just make this skill shoot in a circle, really sick. Big fan of that kind of stuff. And yeah, if they're gonna do the character thing, which is inevitable, we talked about this briefly earlier, but I really like the niche ones that you can like scale a vector that normally is not accessible to you. And I think we can do without the vanilla ones. I think we've got enough. We've got our Deadeye, we've got our Ritualist. I feel like every character has that vanilla Ascendancy that is just there to be clicked, but I really like when they reinvent the wheel, kinda. Like the fact that I can play an Abyssal Lich and I can play attacks on it, and it actually is like the only attack-based character in the game that can utilize Spirit past a certain point. I love that. That's super fun because my favorite thing to do in this game is make characters. So, yeah. Final one too. Delwyn, get him out of the game. This guy's been in my maps for 14 months, bro. He's the only reason my voice lines are turned all the way down. This dude's been sleeping on the couch for too long. That shit was from 14 months ago. Get him gone. No more
Nobody
Delwyn.
likes him. He has no job. Nobody likes him.
Get him out of here, bro. He
like,
said, let me sleep on your couch till I get on my feet, bro. This guy's been here for over a year, bro. And I've never seen a mirror on the same screen as Delwyn, ever. Like, I have a feeling he's in the map just to steal your shit. Like, get him gone. Get him out of here immediately.
So, for me, on that list, I will put on the very top bug fixes and performance for me, by far. My loading screens this week have been absurd, and I have a bit picky. And bugs have been everywhere. So for me, I think what they did is they just threw everything out to see what sticks. And there's obviously a lot of bugs there because there's a lot of new content. I would love that to get fixed before 1.0 more than any content adage or whatever. I want it to be fixed before they even introduce more content, and there's going to be more bugs. And we're going to get spaghetti code, right? But that would be my biggest priority. And the other thing that is a little bit more specific is I would love if they could somehow weave into weapon swap, if they could weave support gems being changed. So for example, one weapon swap, you have because they changed it at some point that you can only have one of a skill, right? So you can only have one Falling Thunder, one of this. And then you have your supports in, and it's like, oh, so in some situations I want to clear, and I want to have a wall chain, I want to have additional proj, whatever the hell. But on single target, that sucks. So now I have to use a different skill, which is not always a good deal because you have very niche scaling, right? Like some skills have very niche scaling and they don't mix with anything. So it would be nice if on weapon swap, your conk effect would swap into magnified area, for example, or stuff like that, right? Like it would kind of fit in pretty well. I would love that. And then to what you said, Prada, I think they should be really careful with difficulty scaling. We've had this in PoE 1 with tier 17s, and I'm still a little bit scared of that, because what it means, so if they introduce difficulties, so for example, Temple is a good example as well, or tier 17s in Path of Exile 1, they introduce difficulty and they somehow have to give you rewards for doing harder stuff. But what that also entails is now some of the worst skills get pushed down and a new standard of what is good will arise. And then all of a sudden we have the situation where there's like only 3 good skills in the game, which currently we have a really like diverse meta. You can play so many skills. And that's because of that low ceiling and because the game is quote unquote easy, I guess. So they have to be really careful with that. And if they add difficulty, they can't make it too good. Otherwise, we have another Temple league. But,
it can't be like Temple where if the hardest difficulty content is also printing the best loot and there's no possible way to outscale that. I mean, there's definitely an approach they could do where it's just like, okay, all this is going to do is drop you crafting mats and you got to do something with them. Maybe it's not. The problem with Temple is just like the best farm in the game and it's raw currency. So immediately you just flood the entire market with legit divine orbs only and headhunters only. Like,
I had a weird
problem
idea.
there.
I had a weird idea, and I kind of broached it before the podcast started real quickly. But for example, in Path of Exile, there was like a account-bound item called Relic that had like certain stats. What if, for example, you have really hard content that you can only run if you have a really good character, and there's like one item slot that's called a Relic, and you only drop those from that hard content, and the higher you go, the stats go up a little bit. It's like a little bit better. It's not infinite, but basically if you have a strong character, you can't flood the market and destroy the economy. You just get a little bit stronger, right? But people are going to do that.
Yeah.
You know people are going to do that, right?
Yeah. Dude, I did that in Expedition for 7 days of gameplay, 70 hours for 10 spirit, and I lost 2,200 div doing it as fast as humanly possible.
You dropped nothing else, so you lost 2,200 divs, right? That's crazy. Yeah.
Dude, Alder's Saga, we didn't cover it in the pod. Alder's Saga, I don't care what anyone says, remove that from the game immediately or make it like actually crazy and worth doing, but I bought those in...
I'm worth like 3-4 mirrors, but I just got lucky, obviously. So
I bought those in bulk at 34 div because they were mooning, and I was like, if these go to 40, I'm actually going broke. I won't be able to play the game.
That's a skill problem, though. That's a skill problem. Let's be real. But I bought them at 22. That's a skill issue.
Very funny. But we have the limbs from Temple, but you have to go play Temple. I think there's a way to re-roll Jado with like a corrupted map, and you can get the mortuary map. But if you could keep the limbs and they didn't go away when you died, hell, dude, I'd play whatever content in the game they put there. If I could get 16 attack speed, just from playing the game, doing something difficult, like sign me up. I'm all for the global character buff.
Yep.
All right, so mine is, if people have been watching the podcast for a while, you already know what mine is. It's defenses. Defenses in PoE 2, they just completely suck. I just got to say it. Like, they're in a terrible place. Yeah. They've been adding things here and there, but none of it has really added up to much. I think like you can kind of overinvest into armor and it starts to feel quite good, but you really do have a lot of investment into it. Energy shield still feels like the way to go when you just want hit pull. And if anything, like the recovery changes they made to energy shield, it just makes it more annoying to play that. It doesn't actually change the status quo. I'm still building energy shield. I'm just now standing like out of combat for an extra second or here or there to recover, right? What I want to see there is I want to see them go in and look at what the issues are on a side of the tree basis. That's just what I want to see them do. Like, just go in and be like, okay, what is our like fundamental design here for each of these defenses? What are they trying to achieve with them, right? Because they talked about in the Q&A about how energy shield for them internally is compared to armor and evasion, right? Whereas the entire player base compares it to life. Okay, just straight up.
That's just what it is.
Their idea for energy shield is that it's like a barrier to damage, and once it's gone, right? But that's just not really how it functions in the game, and people don't play it like that. So, what I want to see them kind of go in and carve out what these defenses actually mean, and how they're going to like be balanced from the area of the tree that they're located in, how characters are actually going to use them. Because like right now, it's like, okay, I can build into armor if I want, but if I do that, I can't get enough hit pool as well as armor to actually make that armor good. And then, you've got all of the kind of edge cases where it's like, okay, my armor's doing nothing in this particular scenario, whatever, right? There are a lot of problems there. I just want them to, solve those core defenses, and over time they can obviously add the more interesting things like unique items that provide like interesting defenses. But yeah,
Lore-weave we had.
Exactly.
Lore-weave.
So they're adding, they have got interesting things there. I mean, like, block feels great to invest into, for example. Like, it feels good to actually use that mechanic. But yeah, I want to see more defensive options, and I want to see them actually kind of nail down what these defenses are supposed to be, especially when compared to each other. Because right now, it doesn't feel like what they're trying to say they are in those Q&As. It doesn't feel like that's what they are.
It doesn't to me. It's not. It's just not true. I totally agree. And also, to your point, they even made life weaker comparatively to mana and energy shield dispatch because they introduced low life on every character. You can literally go low life on every character now with the new Azirius communion support. So life builds can't do that. So they're now also down an aura versus those builds.
And Leech nerf too. Same update. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. So I don't know what their thing is with life, but I don't know. There's lobbyists out there. That's all I'm saying. Okay. It's crazy.
There's also, like, from just, like, the developer perspective, there's probably a fear in the idea of, like, an overleech just giving you more life. Like, if, for example, you hit a leech for, however much the value is now, like 40k, whatever the max was, it's like, dude, if you got 10% of that as just, like, max life on top of what you got and you had just, like, a little extra pool, I don't think it would ruin or break the game, you know what I mean? I think people would be pretty happy with something simple like that. Just, like, Band-Aid on the problem until you can figure it out, but... my main problem with the defense is, like, if you want to go armor or you want to go evasion, say goodbye to the suffixes on your gear. Like, you're going to have to go get deflect, you're going to go have to get armor applies to Ellie, and somebody else is playing energy shield and does not have to worry about that. And he's just getting his resistances and his rarity.
And he's getting kills rest for free as well, if he's going CI. Yeah.
Yep. And he presses one button, and also it frees up all of his charm slots. He doesn't have to worry about bleed, he doesn't have to worry about, getting any chaos res, he doesn't have to worry about poison. By virtue of that, and it's just like you literally press one button, never look back, and the other characters are like fighting for their lives. Like, is there such a thing as pure evasion? Can you even play it? No one knows. Well, I don't think anyone's doing it.
The other problem is that one of their points was, but life also gives ailment threshold and stun threshold. And it's like, but look at energy shield builds. They take 3 nodes and they have more stun threshold than you could ever dream of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And you just get unwavering stance on a flesh crucible and you move with bone shatter and you don't get stunned anyways. And you don't have to roll. And there's just like everything in the game that's supposed to be like, oh, well, there's this hurdle that they have to get over. So this is fair. It's like, we found a way to break it like 4 leagues ago and it's not gone anywhere. Remember when the Roa was a thing and you could just like click one node on the Roa and you're not stunnable? Like, and you get to do that for a whole league? And it's like, oh, okay, that feels great if you're trying to play armor across the tree. Like, oh, awesome, dude.
Yeah, I just want to see him go in there and carve out what those mechanics are really meant to be, because it feels like they need that in place before we get to 1.0. Like, they need to build on those mechanics like from good foundations. It can't be that we go into 1.0 and like everyone's still playing energy shield because they just have to, right? They just feel like they have to.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see a better baseline there, and I do believe that the reset patches are going to have a main focus on balance, which I'm really looking forward to. So hopefully that's going to be one of the things that's close to the top of the list there.
Yeah,
they can even do it from just the notables perspective. Like, if you want to go evasion or you want to go hybrid ESEV, you're spending so many more points in the tree. And if you want to go armor, you're spending so many more points in the tree. It's like, what if they just took all the notables and just made them better? Like, what's the fear of buffing defensive notables, right? Like, I don't know. I would really, really like to see that get some attention too. That's a really good point, because there are times where you're on that, left side of the tree character and you're like, yeah, I really could just put a little Verana jewel in here and take Black Scythe Covenant and never look back, and it's just so enticing, and it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be.
Yeah. Already done that several times. Like, it's always the case that you just feel so much better clicking on an energy shield. It's a bit of an unfortunate position at the moment. And I do believe that in an ARPG, you should be able to build a very strong defensive character if you want to. Like, if your character doesn't end up dealing much damage, but you succeeded in being tanky, why not, right? That's a power fantasy that people want to do, so let them do it. So yeah, I'll see that.
It also doesn't help that you can get like 50% ES per jewel now with the increased effect and quality and everything. I mean, it's. I honestly don't know.
The tree and has the most jewels ever, since like, 1.0. Yeah.
It's like defense 1 and them talking about how they can't have, for example, life on the tree, which I'm not saying we have to have life on the tree, but it's just funny, like, seeing their perspective, and it's like, well, that's a noob, it could be a noob trap. It's like, everything in this game could be a noob trap. Like, literally, you have to just know certain things, and the fact that they don't put life nodes on the tree, quote unquote, because people could maybe not know to click them, is preposterous in this game, because that's the whole game. It's like, yeah, you need to know certain things. Otherwise, you literally can't play.
Apply that same logic to just like how skills exist and operate in the game. And it's like, do you think a new player understands how much better for defenses Whirling Assault is when it hits the entire screen and no monsters can get close to you? Yeah. Like, it's literally a defensive layer without it saying this is a defensive layer. Everything that's within my area of effect is a corpse, like instantly dead, versus a skill that's got a wind up, versus a skill like a Glacial Lance we used as our example earlier, where you have to literally cock this thing back and yeet it before you're doing any damage. And it's like half the skills in the game that the people gravitate towards don't have to worry about that. You're not thinking about that when you clicked on Spark. Like, if it's near you, it's dead, and that's how it works. And it's straightforward and simple. And it's like, how many skills are like that in the game where like a new player is not going to know that, and they're just going to play what they're going to play? And on this character, 5k energy shield, you feel unkillable when you first get in your T15s. And on this character, it feels like legit garbage. And now apply that to armor, where it's just like, even that change is even worse feeling, you know what I mean? But very funny.
I will say that in general, though, this patch, for me, the complaints that I have shifted from monumental, I don't have fun, to just being a little bit more nitpicky. Because this is the first patch where I actually have fun engaging with the end game, just straight up. Like, I'm so fucking rich this league, and it's just because I'm just don't stop playing. I just cannot stop playing, and I'm just addicted. And it's the first league where I really have that feeling, and I'm very happy about that. And maybe it's honeymoon phase, whatever. I don't care. It's fine.
Best honeymoon ever.
Yeah, best ever. And now I'm just complaining about like less, like more trivial things, right? It's stuff that they can definitely work upon. And I'm really happy that we're now in that situation. And I've talked to a lot of people, and it seems like the sentiment is going more and more towards that. So I'm really happy where they're going. And I don't know about releasing this year, but I do love that they plan on doing resets, and they're gonna turn up the speed in the next few months, I'm pretty sure.
And really though, good on them for an update like this. I can confidently say, out of all the video games I've ever played, this is like the single best update from like the previous version of the game I've ever played. Like, from where it was to where it is, the leap was ridiculous. And in a community like this, that's just like obviously super full of nerds that are hyper critical of every little thing they don't like, super vocal about what they hate, and never really given credit and flowers when they like something. The community response has been like overwhelmingly positive, and that's just so refreshing to see, especially when you're like streaming the game every day, right? Just like everybody's having a good time.
Every streamer,
everybody's having a good time. Like, that's
every
so awesome.
Every streamer feels this. The vibe is
super positive,
off the chart.
Yeah, just overall very positive. This patch, I think it's because it's like, we also got the information that like 1.0 is coming up, and I think a lot of people had it in their minds that they were going to try and do that, but the game wouldn't be in a good enough place. So like, you'd feel like, oh, how are we even going to get there, right? The game's going to release, going to be like a buggy mess or whatever. But now it feels like we've got like all this content that come into the game, and they do have a lot of bugs, but they got time to fix the bugs, and they're going to be also focusing on balance. So I do think they're going to be able to get the game into a really good place for 1.0. I think it would have been nicer to have a few extra things in there that they're probably not going to have, but it is what it is. This is what they're going for. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped for 1.0.
And also, this written down here. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, this is like the only dev team I've ever, like, they've gained my faith. Like, I literally have faith in them to make, like, good, sound decisions. Because most of the time you're playing a video game, I don't know what other genres you guys play, but you just, like, feel like the people that are making these decisions are just out of touch, don't probably play their game. This might just be, like, the kind of studio where they just clock in and, do what they got to do, meet some quota, change this many things, blah blah blah. These guys actually play their game, and it's evident in the decision making process. It really is, and good on them for that.
To be completely clear, I've never had, I've said this throughout, I never have doubt in GGG. They have so much goodwill saved up with me over the years. They're just, people criticize them all the time, the Chris Wilson era and whatnot. But, compare them compared to who?
Any other dev team ever. These are
crazy.
They're killing it. They're
absolutely killing it.
They have the two best games in a genre. That's all you need to know. They have the two best games in a genre, and they're competing with themselves.
Which of their games is better? People arguing. I think D4 is not even mentioned. Right?
The most hilarious thing was in the Q&A when Jonathan was saying about how PoE 2 had to defeat the content blow of PoE 1 first to be a proper ARPG. That was actually
nice problem to have. Yeah, it's no, but what I was gonna say is I have this written down here verbatim. This is the most GGG patch I've ever seen. They're literally throwing out so much content that people weren't even asking. It is so much all at once. It's buggy, sure, that's part of it, and stuff has to be fixed, that's part of it. But then they do random stuff oh, by the way, the first person who sacrifices themselves at level 100 gives every other person a skill point. Oh, and by the way, there's a secret quest line where you have to have 10,000 mana on your character and then right-click the quest item. And it's what is going on? And taming is a recipe that is only in one particular map, they made a scenery with it. Or Loreweave is not just a recipe; there's a whole UI for it. There's so many things that are not necessary that just labor of love is just sprinkled in there, right? That's GGG. That's GGG.
And that's how you make a damn good, memorable video game. We're all gonna remember this. You know what I mean? These moments in the game when we're playing. Game, 10 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, dude, do you remember when you could go tear up Expedition and get 10 spear for the free ski? All you had to do is put a little time in and you walk away with a crazy character buff. Dude, I will never forget getting that +1. Yeah.
You newbies don't understand how it was back in the day in 0.5.
We're going to talk about the good old days and reflect on this, literally, yeah.
That's crazy. I'm looking forward to 1.0. They're definitely going in the right direction for sure. And I haven't really had that impression for some of the patches, especially 0.2. So I'm playing this patch. I'm they're finally on track, right? It feels like they're moving in the right direction now. So I'm pretty hyped.
Yep.
All right. So that's just about all we wanted to get into this podcast. Prada, if you're working on anything at the moment, let people know what you're working on and where to find you.
Nothing in particular. We just stream every day. We make educational content for the most part, so if you've got any questions about anything PoE 2 related, we just crossed the 5,000 hour mark if you want a nerd number to laugh at. But live every day on Twitch, same name over there, 787 Prada on Twitch and YouTube, and PoE 2.
PoE 2.
Hell yeah.
All right, thanks for joining us, Prada, on this episode of the PoE Report, and thank you guys for watching. We are signing out.